Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma alimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima alamtana wa zidna ilma. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'awtahu sahla wa anta taj'alul hazna idha shi'ta sahla. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجه الكريم. So as I was mentioning quickly, before I go into our lesson, I was talking about language in the scattered thoughts. I just want to finish this point. So I was talking about the Arabic language, and I was talking about the English language, and I was talking about people, right? So let's keep it real, 100%, right? Let's say keep it 100. What they say in Philly now, there's another word. Keep it a bean. A bean? A bean. Okay. Bean means 100. Okay. See? They got their own English language. Bean. All right. So, did y'all follow me with my point with language? Alone, language. Did y'all follow my point? Is any question about what I said about language alone? We're not talking about anything else. We're just talking about language. Would you agree with me? I know it's kind of slow, right? We're talking about just language. We ain't talking about nothing else. We're talking about languages, English and Arabic, right? See, sometimes we just got to be honest with ourselves so we can get somewhere. If we keep not being honest, we're not going to get anywhere. We have to be honest with ourselves, right? So we agree that from the side of language, your statement is invalid. From the language alone, for you to say, I follow Quran and Sunnah is a false claim. From the language alone, you don't have the ability. Language-wise, you don't have the ability. So that's one point. That's from the language. You don't have the ability. You need to follow someone. Someone needs to help you with your reading and help you with your words. Right? You don't have the ability to understand the Quran and Sunnah. You need help. You don't know language good enough. you just don't. So that's in Arabic language. Now, let's keep it real. Y'all ready? Y'all following me, right? How many of y'all been reading with me, studying with me for at least 1 year? How many of you been studying with me for at least 1 year? Been following the classes, whether live or recorded, don't matter. Have been following me for about a year. I didn't say how many of you been stalking me for a year. I said following. Joking. Oh, joking. All right. So in a year, you've noticed something. I don't know if you're paying attention. Whenever we read books, when we're reading, so you have the reader, what am I doing while the reader is reading the English book? What am I usually doing? From experience, you've watched. What am I usually doing? Reader, are you there? Rita, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
When you're reading in English, the books we've been reading, because you've been reading for a year, what am I usually doing?
You are following along in the Arabic.
So y'all notice that. Reading Arabic books, reading from Arabic books, right? So, example, she's reading this, and I'm looking at this, right? She's reading the English, and I'm following in Arabic, right? I intentionally do that. Why do you think I do that? And what have you noticed the reason I do that? Because it's in English, it's translated, right? Why am I still following in Arabic? What have you noticed from that? What have you noticed? Just paying attention. Right. As Abdul Carter said, and you catch mistakes. I'm not looking for mistakes. I'm just making sure they're not mistakes, but actually corrections, right? And she said it beautifully, Fatima, our beloved sister from Canada. She said, cause, is cause English? Don't you say because? Hey, family, hey, you opened yourself up. Is cause a word? I say it all the time. Is that really a word? Or is just slang usage and we understand? Because I say cause all the time. Don't you supposed to say because? Because translations are often lacking. I'm just messing with you, Fatima. We're just having fun here. Sister, my sister, right? All right. So here, may Allah give you an easy day at work, Sister Rakia. Arakia. Right? Right. Because translations are often lacking. And the only way you're going to know that is in Arabic. You have to follow. And from experience, go look at your books because we read a lot of books and see how many corrections you have in your book from me just following in Arabic. Sometimes there's serious mistakes. Sometimes some of those mistakes, if you believe them literally, is kufr, take you out of Islam. Have you not observed this when we're reading books? Have you not observed this? In all of our class, we read a lot of books. Myself, Sheikh Walid, different teachers. Have you noticed how many corrections are in your books if you're taking good notes? Words being changed, meanings. No, for the YouTube question, when I say Sheikh Samir, that's Sheikh Samir al-Nas from Damascus, Syria. Sheikh Samir al-Qadi is different name. Samir. So when I'm saying Sheikh Samir, I'm not talking about Sheikh Samir al-Qadi. But I know Sheikh Samir al-Qadi. I studied with Sheikh Samir al-Qadi. I know him well. But when I say Sheikh Samir, I'm talking about another teacher. That was a YouTube question. So my point is only here. My point is that whole concept of I follow Quran and Sunnah for all of us, that is totally false, a totally false claim. We don't have the ability. And all of us are equal in that. even the one who thinks he's a scholar, right? Even the one who thinks he's a scholar is equal in what we just said. In our time, most of the ones who claim to be scholars are students. They would have been poor students in the time of Imam Nawawi. So we were talking about Imam Nawawi, for example. The people we look at today as scholars would have been poor students in the time of Imam Nawawi. Do you realize the levels? The ones we say today, these are the scholars, or the scholars of the West, right? The scholars of the world, for that matter. If they would have been in the session of Imam Nawawi, they would have been considered poor students. Do you get the level of these people we're talking about that we say are blind followers? All right, let me make it more clear, and I'm going to stop so we can go to our lesson. If Albany, Nasiruddin Albany, was in the session of Imam Nawawi, they would have looked at him as he was like, what are you doing? Did you hear that? If he were in the session of Imam Nawawi, they would have looked at him like, what are you doing? Little kid, please go play. Do you realize that? Do you realize in the session of Imam Nawawi were a bunch of Hufaz? All of them had that kind of knowledge. They were all great hadith scholars from mine. They didn't need books. The students I'm talking about, the students of Imam Nawawi were like that. We're really deluded when this idea I'm following Quran and Sunnah. No way. You're not qualified. We're not qualified. And that's just being honest with ourselves. And that's just by analogy, and I didn't even go into the Islamic sciences. I didn't go into all those details trying to sound heavy. I'm talking about the basic level. You're not qualified. Stop. You can't follow Quran and Sunnah on your own. You don't have the ability. So is that clear? I can move on. Are y'all following me just from that standpoint? Y'all following me? So I got the point, and I'm not putting us down. We're just being honest, right? It's not a put down. It's not, we're just being honest with one another. We're not there. And that's fine. Maybe we won't make so many mistakes if we stay in our place. Or even if we make mistakes, people won't be deluded by us, right? So none of you are going to walk around and say, the great scholar from Atlantic City, Sheikh Amin Muhammad. You're not going to say that because you know better. None of us here are going to be walking around talking about the great Sheikh, the Imam of the Imams, you know, my scholars, Imam Amin Muhammad. No one's going to do that. We know better. We're not deluded. We're students trying our best to get it right. And I don't even think we're students. We're just trying to get it right. We're not even at the level of students. That doesn't put us down. That just keeps us in our reality. So we don't begin to think we're somebody we're not. We're not deluded. You following our point? We're not deluded. All right. How does a Muslim not follow Quran and Sunnah? I got your question. I know what you're trying to ask. You follow Quran and Sunnah by following Qualified scholars, qualified, and you have to learn what qualified is, right? That deduce legal rulings from the Islamic sources, among them the Quran and the Sunnah. That's how you follow Quran and Sunnah. You don't go to the Quran and Sunnah and make your own rules. You're not qualified, right? How do we get healthy? We go to doctors. When we're sick, we go to doctors. Depending the sickness, we might do a little something and put a Band-Aid, like I cut my hand and I put a Band-Aid. But any serious thing that got to do with medicine, I'm going to a doctor. And if it get real bad, I'm going to a specialist. That's our job. Right? That's how we follow Quran and Sunnah. Not I open up Hadith in Al-Bukhari and say, you know, the Hadith in Al-Bukhari, that's my dalil. And then as soon as I ask you about the Hadith, you have no clue. You don't know nothing about Hadith to even quote the Hadith. All right, let me give you a quick, I'm helping us, so please bear with me because I'm trying to get us to understand something so we can get out of this false default Wahhabi crazy mindset we got going on. We have to move from this. We'll never be successful walking around with a programmed mind thinking we're scholars and we ain't even good laymen. We're never going nowhere like that. And what, you know what they want? And I'm telling you, the world wants. They want the kafir, the kuffar in this world we live in, ran by them. They want an Islam that is not Islam at all. They want us to practice an Islam that is not Islam at all. And how they do it, they allow us to be totally ignorant of our religion. And therefore, we're deluded to think we're practicing something that's not real. So we walk around deluded. So you got a bunch of us walking around talking about where's your dalil from the Quran and Sunnah. I'm upon the Quran and the Sunnah. And it's a big delusion. It's so foolish. Anyone who learns, and trust me, the enemies of Islam, they know that's crazy. They study Islam back and forth. They know we foolish. They know that. Right? You understand? They know that. Like, they study. They go and they take our manuscripts. When they do wars, they rip our libraries apart. They know we don't know what the heck we doing. But the problem is we don't realize that to fix it. So we get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. The Prophet told us that. So our job is to reverse the trend. And maybe we won't see it, but future generations will see it, right? It's reversing the trend, slowly but surely. So here's my point, that we follow the Quran and the Sunnah by following qualified scholarship. And how do we follow qualified scholarship? The majority of the Ummah has already had a system. That's why they're called al-madhahib, in aqidah, in fiqh, in ways of spirituality, turuq, so that all of these things can be put in a form where we can learn them. Then once we learn the base, we go to the next level of learning, the next level of learning. And then one day, hopefully one day we have mujtahidun among us. I mean, one day, inshallah. But we have to go through the system. Are y'all following me? I mean, is this clear? This is very important because this is the majority of our battle. If we get past this, stop thinking we scholars and learn at our levels, we would move much faster. But we have to spend time teaching us that we don't know. Because someone told us we knowledgeable. Somebody lied to us and told us not only we're knowledgeable, that we're scholars. That's deep. My wife's a school teacher, right? And maybe some of you work in the education field, right? And I hear her all the time struggling, trying to keep the kids on grade level. They're not there. So they're in the 5th grade and some of them in 2nd grade, but they're in the 5th grade actually, because they have this concept, just pass them through. No child left behind. And that's a whole nother discussion, right? But they're in the 5th grade and I listen to her pulling her hair out, right? Because the kids are not up at par. Some are and most are not, right? This is true. I watch it every day, right? So if those kids came to her and said, I'm a graduate from Harvard, right? That's how I said, she's a 5th grade teacher. Those kids come to her and say, I graduated from Harvard. Ooh, what you think she gonna be looking at? Right? I graduated from Harvard and I have a PhD. This is real stuff. I'm not being funny. It's what we need to know so that we can go from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3 to one day we really did graduate from Harvard. But if we not even on our reading level, not even on our grade level, and thinking we're college professors, we're in trouble. Do you understand? We're in trouble as a community. We're in trouble. And that's has done to us through Wahhabism. That's what's been done to us through Wahhabism, which is a plot from the British, and that's a whole nother discussion. But that's what happened to us. That's what happened. And that's a serious problem that we have to fix. We got to get past it. And if we drop our egos, it's easy to get past it, right? If we drop our ego, stop being egotistical, drop your ego, we'll get past it. But once the ego kicks in, we finish, right? And the hardest thing to do for a lot of human beings is tell the truth to themselves, to tell themselves the truth. A lot of us can't handle the truth. I want the hawk. No, you don't. You don't want the truth. No, you don't. That's what you're saying. You can't handle the truth. That's the favorite movie line, right? You can't handle the truth. That's the truth, what I told you. You cannot dispute what I said unless you're just being arrogant. You can't dispute it. It's irrefutable. We are a living testimony to what I said. That doesn't make us be discouraged. It just puts us in our place and slowly let us come along. That's it. So are y'all following my point before we go on? Because that's a very important point, and that's more important than going on. What I discussed in the Scattered Thoughts and up to this in the Post-Fajr Reflections is so important that it's almost impossible to go on without understanding this. It makes it difficult. It's almost impossible to continue in a productive manner because we always have this in the back of our minds. I follow Quran and Sunnah. I'm a scholar. I know what I'm doing. I don't need nobody to tell me what to do. You know, nobody got a trademark on Islam. All that nonsense going on in the back of our mind. So in order to get past all that, to just sit down and read a book, we got to deconstruct all that stuff. just to read a book, a basic book. So taqlid is following qualified scholarship. You just got to know what you have to learn what qualified scholarship is. And we need it. We need it. So Malika, is that clear? How we follow Quran and Sunnah? Simple. Allah said, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. But in order to do that, you need two elements. Number one, before you're going to ask the people of knowledge, you got to realize you don't know. But if you think you know, you're not going to ask nobody nothing. You know already, right? So you can't follow the verse if you think you know and you don't know. That's called compounding ignorance. A person doesn't know and doesn't know they don't know. It's not bad not to know, because if you don't know, you're going to ask, right? But to not know and to not realize you don't know, that's a problem. So are we clear on this? Because I can move on. I didn't even get to what I wanted to get to in the scattered thoughts. I had something else, maybe tomorrow. It was related, but this is a long discussion. And listen, this is for all of us so we can move on, right? All right, we good? Any questions quickly? Let me help you. What is the famous Islamic universities that you know? Put them up real quick. The famous Islamic universities that you know, I don't care what they are. What you know, I graduated from the Islamic University. When you hear that, or you think, what are the famous universities you come up with? Zaytuna College. Okay. Go ahead. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just being real. Go ahead. Al-Aqsa. Okay, Zaytuna College. Go ahead. Al-Azhar. Go ahead. Azhar, Medina, Yarmouk. Okay, go ahead. Come on. All right. Let's take Zaytuna College, some of you know. Let's take Al-Azhar, and let's take University of Medina. The professors, the scholars of Zaytuna, the professors, the scholars, right? Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, right? Imam Zayd Shakir. The scholars of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ali Jum'ah, right? The other great scholars of Azhar. The great imams and sheikhs of the University of Medina, Bin Baz, Rabi al-Madkhali, all of those people whom they follow. Forget whether I like them or not. That's not what we're talking about. Those big scholars. When a person graduates from Al-Medina University, from Al-Azhar, from Zaytuna, do any of those scholars consider that graduate a scholar? Yes or no? Honestly, does any of their teachers, scholars, consider that graduate a scholar? Yes or no? Question. Doesn't that tell you something? I mean, let's think about this. You just said you named all these prestigious schools, and you mentioned that these are the prestigious schools. That's what you know about. And the one who graduates from them, their teachers don't consider them scholars. Right? They study for years, 4 years, maybe 5, maybe 6, right? And when they finish, they know Arabic, they read books, some stuff, they get a degree. And after all that, their teachers say, you're still not a scholar. If that applies to them, what about us? That's another way to look at it. If that applies to them, what about us walking around talking about I follow Quran and Sunnah? These are trained people who had teachers and went to school and they got grades and they got tests and all that, and that applies to them. What about us? I just want us to use our minds. What about us? What about us? They're graduates. They went to school and they got certificates and degrees. And after all that, that's how they're looked at it. And they're not considered to know Quran and Sunnah. So how do we get off, who didn't have any of that, and say we're qualified to read Quran and Sunnah on our own and we don't need we go to the Quran and Hadith? I'm just trying to use our brains. It's not logically, it doesn't make sense. So obviously that's not reality, so we can leave that alone. I'm only mentioning that so that we can actually do that. We can step by step start to grow. We need this. It's important. And it will help us grow faster. So I'm going to stop here. I guess I took up all the time. Is my point clear here? Any questions? Questions, criticisms, comments? I don't care. I want to hear it because I would like to not have to talk about this issue. I would rather just learn. But in order to just learn, we got to understand our place. It helps us. At least it helped me. Right? So I can sit with my teachers and learn. I don't got to keep questioning them and going back and forth like I know something. I could just learn. And then eventually I'm going to learn something when I sit down and learn. Because my cup is empty. And then I come and I get it filled up and I check it and I can grow. And that's what I want for all of us. Step by step. Because we have to change our whole mindset in the country we live in. There's a lot of people walking around and think they're scholars. And they're not even good laymen. Right? And we got to become good laymen. No, Quran and Sunnah is our primary sources of Islamic learning. It's not a Wahhabi term. Quran and Sunnah is our primary sources of learning. But there's a format to learning Quran and Sunnah, right? And there's rules and prerequisites and a lot of stuff, right? It's become a slogan of Wahhabism to escape following qualified scholarship. It's a slogan that they use to escape following qualified scholarship. Who determines who has reached the scholar level? It's well known in the books of Usul al-Fiqh, in the books of the fundamentals or the principles of Islamic jurisprudence. It will tell you in those major books what scholars need to know. Even in hadith, if you study the books of Usul al-Hadith, the foundations of hadith, they're going to tell you levels of hadith scholars and levels of knowledge and levels of, you know how they say there's levels to this? In those books of Usul, principles, right? You're going to learn all that stuff. So now it's more stuff to learn. And then you're going to learn about scholars, and you're going to learn about authorities and what they knew and their levels of knowledge. And from that, you're going to understand scholar level, right? There's a certain standard. When you learn, you're going to understand what scholars are. And then it's not a blameworthy thing. You just understand there's levels. I'll give you an example. I told you I had a friend. We used to do the clothing line Dawa wear together. He was in the NBA. His name was Tariq Abdul Wahad. Assalamu alaikum, Tariq. How you feeling, my brother? Right? He was in the NBA. And at that time, he was playing for the Dallas Mavericks, right? The Dallas Mavericks. He was the first French player to play in the NBA. He's French originally. He was the first French player to play in the NBA. He was on the Dallas Mavericks. And I spent a lot of time with him. We were doing the clothing line all over the world. Me and him traveled all over the world, right? But he was, and I know he ain't gonna like this, but I'm just being, in terms of the NBA, no, he's good. But he was a bench warmer in the NBA. During the end of his career, he was always out on injury reserve. He didn't really want to play anyway. But he's good. He's very good. But at the NBA, he wasn't at the star level. But he's in the NBA. So I remember I have a friend. He comes on. He listens, but he doesn't quote much. He's a partner with me in the clothing line. He's always on. I think we was in California somewhere. I don't know where we were at. And we wanted to play ball. And I never forget it. All of us, we played ball. We not no good. We played basketball, right? And so we wanted to play basketball with him. And he said, I don't play with bums. And, you know, we was totally insulted, right? I said, I don't play with bums. Right? And we was like, bum? You bench warmer? Right? Like, he said that. I don't play with bums. I can't afford to get hurt. That's what he said. Now, we played basketball, you know, like, what you talking about bums? And he was serious. And he wouldn't play with us. So one time, we were doing something. We was in a gym, and he was shooting. This guy was sinking three-point shots like they were layups. Boom, 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 boom. I was like, wow. I was shocked. I saw him play. I mean, whenever they gave him some minutes. No, I'm joking, right? No, I saw him play, and he's good. But he was shooting. I was like, wow. I mean, the shot, the form, boom, 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 boom. Right? And he said something. Because I was asking him, you know, he said the bum in the NBA is a superstar wherever he comes from. What y'all call a bum in the NBA is a superstar wherever he comes from. Now it's in context. Do you understand that? Move that basketball equation to scholarship. You follow? You got the analogy there? Did y'all follow that analogy? So he's a superstar. He's no Michael Jordan. He's no LeBron James. He's no Magic Johnson. He's no Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain. but he's still an NBA player. Don't forget that. Right? My nephew, I'm going to give you one more equation just for my family, right? We all always, my nephew, he plays for Hampton University. He was at Howard University. Now he's at Hampton University, right? Check this out. Man, we all over his back all the time. He's good, right? But he ain't doing what we want him to do, but he's good, right? On that level, he plays good. He's no superstar. He plays, he makes the team, he does what he has to do, right? He's getting a free education, right? He's not making a bunch of noise. He do some big shots here and there, you know what I mean? Right? Now listen though. He was here. He's the second highest score of points in one game in the history of Atlantic City, if not number one, either number two or number one. He's up there in the rankings. He's in the top 10 all-time scorers in the history of Atlantic City High School. He's in the top 10, and he's up there. He ain't like at the bottom. In the top 10 all-time scorers in the history of Atlantic City High School. He's the first person ever from Atlantic City and probably in the history of the state to win MVP of all the All-Star games. MVP. I don't know if that ever happened. He was leading MVP of the All-Star game, north, south, east, west in the state. Right? He played in the league and scored like 90 points in a game. Like 90 points in one game or something like that. And in the league, I think, I don't know, maybe someone can tell me, like 70 something in a game. In one game. Right? But on that level, yo, man, do that stuff I saw you, all that famous stuff you do at home. Different level, different type of competition. Do you understand my point? That's the same thing in Islam scholarship. Yes, Jackie, Anwar Awlaki was a Wahhabi teaching Wahhabi stuff. Yes. Y'all got my point? Just put that to scholarship. I'm just sharing you so you can put this. I'm giving you all these analogies. That same thing, put it to Islamic scholarship. Is my point clear? And I can stop. I'm sorry for not getting to Imam Haddad. We'll come back tomorrow. But this was important to make these analogies because it will help us, inshallah. Any questions, go ahead and I'll stop there. Please, reader, forgive me, overlook my shortcomings, but I'm trying to help us get somewhere. And we have a lot of people that are listening. They need this bad so that we can move forward. We can fix what's been broken. What's been broken or what has been broken. All right, which one is right? What's the problem with taking from all four schools? Is this permissible? What's the problem with that? School, a madhab has rules and has principles. So in order to take from all schools, you need to know its rules and its principles, not part of the rules, right? So for every rule in a madhab, right, you need to know everything related to that rule to apply it in every school. If you don't know that, you don't realize how the scholars of the school arrived at that ruling. So to mix the schools, you need a lot of knowledge to do that, which we don't have. Do you follow? I mean, that's the easiest way for me to give you to say that to you. It's not just how to pray. It is also how did the scholars arrive at that's how you pray, right? And then the rules related to how to pray, how did they get there? All that has to be taken into context before you mix the schools. Do you follow what I mean there? Is that clear for everyone? It's more involved than just open up a beginner's book and go for it. It's a lot more involved than that. Let me make it analogy. So you said it's understood, no problem. I'll give you an analogy. You go to two doctors, right? One doctor tells you do this, and another doctor may tell you to take another medicine, right? So there's two different types of medicines. The doctor knows why he told you this medicine and not that medicine. And if you use that medicine, how this medicine works with this medicine. The doctor knows the whole condition. He knows that take this medicine because you have this ailment, and if you take this medicine, this ailment will be increased because this medicine has this in it, and this wasn't do it, so take that. Do you follow? Just give you by way of analogy. The doctor knows all that stuff. You, as a common person, you would just take any of it. All of it's for a cold. But this medicine, don't take it because you have this medicine, and when they go together, you're going to get sick. That's the way of analogy. It's on that scale with a little bit more details. Y'all follow me? We don't attack anyone. We just clarify. I'm not against Wahhabi people. I'm against Wahhabism. I'm not against people. People don't know. So they try to do what they do. They got to learn. I understand that, right? It's the doctrine that I have a problem with, and it ain't me. Ahl Sunnah has a problem with that doctrine because of the result. We're talking about it, right? Do you know if we wasn't affected by Wahhabis, we would have our own scholars by now? As long as we had Islam among our communities, we would have scholars if we weren't Wahhabis by default. Let's take from the time of Malcolm X. Just take from the time of Malcolm X, right? So he died 1965, right? To now, if we would have had a consistent flow, he had scholarships from Azhar, for instance, right? If we would have had a consistent flow from Malcolm X to today, generation to generation, just all of us going to Azhar, right? Consistency. You learn, you graduate, you go do your master's, your PhD, you continue to study. The next generation, they go learn, they learn. We build institutions. Do you know what we would be like from 1965 to 2021 if we just did that? Without the interruption of Wahhabism, do you know where we would be as a people, as a community? In scholarship. So 1965, 35 years, 56 years. You know what you can do in 56 years if you're focused? Do you know what we would have done in 56 years if we were focused? Just doing that. Graduates come, we send the next batch, study, 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 next batch. Those graduates are teaching, they're doing with the scholars of Azhar, they're memorizing, they're learning fatwa, they're going on and on, then the next generation for 65 years. For 56 years. Do you know where we would be as a community? Structured learning, curriculum, and scholarship, levels, books, memorization, do you know where we would be right now? Do you follow what I mean? Think about that. Think about that, where we would be. I know graduates, some of my students are graduates from Azhar, graduates, right? And listen, they can't even teach what they learned in Azhar because of where we at. They can't even teach us the stuff they learned in Azhar because where we at with the default Wahhabism stuff. They can't even teach us. We refuse to learn from them. And they have a lot to offer. And they're not scholarly. I'm talking about just what they learned in Al-Azhar. If they brought that curriculum back to America and taught it to us in our communities, we would move so far. But because of default Wahhabism or Wahhabism in itself, our people won't even learn. So all their education gets wasted, and they're wasting their time, and they just settle to, okay, whatever. Let's just do whatever. Do you understand what I mean? This stuff is setting us back generations. If we would have been able to do that on the world stage, we would be an authority. And we're based in America. You know what that would mean? You know what that would mean if we had that level of continuous work and scholarship and building? You know where we would be? On the world stage, I'm talking about. Not just in America, on the world stage, after 56 years of continuous scholars training, system, structure to structure to structure. Man, you know where we would be? I just want you to realize what this has done to us. The severity of the invasion of that ideology on our communities has ripped us apart. And I challenge, I'm showing you how honest I am about this issue and how serious I am. I know 2 African-American Azhari graduates, and there are others, Egyptian and foreigner. I know them. I know them personally. If they, and I know I'm a little bit too raw, so they don't like to deal with Imam Amin. Right? Man, I don't know where the hell he's gonna go. Right? I know him. I talk to him regularly, like we friends, right? And I'm a little rough. I know I am. I don't compromise. I don't do none of that, right? So I know, and there's a lot of reasons. We got to get ourselves together. Seriously, man. We got to stop hating on each other for our own destruction. When I say that, we have to be honest, and we got to support one another, right? And when I say hating, I'm not talking about Wahhabis. That's wrong. We got to fix that. But I'm talking about when we're doing the right thing, we got to be honest and we got to support each other. Honestly. I'm not saying accept something wrong. If it's wrong, I'm not talking about an individual. The Wahhabi doctrine is wrong, period. So that's why I talk about it. I'm not talking about the individual who happened to be a Wahhabi. Sometimes that's just default stuff. That is what is available. So we can have real conversations without our egos, and we'll see that. Like, take our egos out. It ain't about me and you. Let's just talk facts. Right? Somebody the other day, he said to me, well, I probably know about the 4 schools better than you, and I know Arabic better than you. Okay, what the hell that got to do with what we talking about? What that got to do with what we talking about? Okay, you still didn't fix the fact. You know better than me. Then if you know better than me, you know what I'm talking about better than me. So why am I talking and not you? Do you hear what I said? If you know better than me, then you know the truthfulness of what I'm saying better than me. Why am I talking and you're quiet? Did you hear that? And the guy said to me yesterday, he wrote all over that page, I know the 4 schools better than you, and I know Arabic better than you. Great. Since you do, you know exactly what I'm saying, then why are you not talking and why am I talking? You could be an ally to the truth instead of arguing with me talking about what I don't know. Why don't you help me since you know so much? You do know what I'm saying for a fact if you know more than me. You know this is foolishness if you know more about the schools and you know Arabic language. You know this is foolishness. You know that. Think about it. You know it. I mean, it's irrefutable. So take me out. Imam Amin Jahil, Jahlun Murakkab. He's ignorant, compounding ignorance. All right, alhamdulillah, I don't got no ego about that. I agree with you. But you learn it. So why are you so quiet? You learn it. You know. Why are you so quiet? Smarty pants. Right? You know. You do know. Because I know. So if I know what I know, and you know more than me, I know you know. Listen. Seriously. You know. So why don't you do it? Well, I can sit down and you just do it and we learn from you. I can just shut up as long as you do it. I need you every day on the battlefield doing the job. And I would love to sit down and let you do it. Ahlan wa sahlan. Come on. I'll help you too. I'll even fund you. How about that? I'll even fund you to do it. I'll fund you to do it. Since you a great, you knowledgeable. I don't got no ego problem with that. Great. I'll fund you to do it. But guess what? I ain't going to do all that compromising because so we're not playing those games. We're not going to double talk. We ain't doing none of that. This is what it is. Oh, I got my own methodology. I ain't out there like that. I'm blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know. I got my own using wisdom, which means I ain't doing nothing. Right? Get out of here, Joker. Right? Because the way you doing it, we ain't reaching our people. I'm not that impressive. You could do more. I'm not impressive at all. You can do more. Ibn Qayyim is a follower of Ibn Taymiyyah who had the bad belief of Ibn Taymiyyah. He was a great learned person, but he had serious issues in Aqidah. And it is from people like Ibn al-Qayyim, or Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, and Ibn Taymiyyah where the ideas of the Wahhabi come from. That's a fact. That's a fact. So my point is, let us build. And believe me, I want to see more of us that are Ahl Sunnah, Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, Sufi, get out front and spread the message. It's going to all be the same. We take our egos out of this stuff, it's going to all be the same. We got different styles, I agree. But let's not hide the truth. That's all I'm saying. Use your style. Your style may be humble. Mine may be ghetto. All that may be true. Just tell the truth. That's all I'm asking you. And don't hide the truth. Don't compromise the truth. Say in public what you will say in private. Don't tell me privately Wahhabis are misguided and this is bad belief. And then publicly, oh, you know, mashallah, we all on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. We all, come on with your politics, man. Knock it off. Tell the truth. Not to hurt nobody. So we got work to do in generations. We got generations of work to do. Right? Don't tell me in private, Ibn Taymiyyah was deviant in Aqidah, he had bad beliefs, and then in public, you don't say that. Ibn Taymiyyah was a great scholar of Islam, Shaykh al-Islam, but privately, that's what you say. What's up? What's up with that? Tell me, what's up with that? Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab brought an innovation that never was seen in the Islamic nation. But you on the stage with Wahhabis who's promoting Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab as Shaykh al-Islam and you say nothing. But you telling me you standing for Ahl Sunnah. Huh? But you told me that he brought an innovation that has never been known in the history of the Ummah. They are the Khawarij al-Asr, the Khawarij of our time. That's what you said. But now, publicly, MashaAllah, Shaykh al-Islam, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Huh? Dhu Wajhain, the person of two faces. The worst of people. The worst of people. Yeah, I'm in it. And I'm saying, this is not my sayings. This is the sayings of Ahl Sunnah. This is what our scholars wrote. This is in our books, historically, from that time to our time. It hasn't changed. With an unbroken chain of narration. That's real. Scholars who were way more knowledgeable than any of us, they said these same things in their books. They wrote them. I have them. You can't tell me different. I have the books. I have the books. You can't make it up. Here's the book. Explain. You're great in Arabic. Here's the book. Maybe I don't understand. Here's the book. Explain. Here's this scholar. Here's this scholar. Here's this scholar. Here's this scholar. Here's this book. Here's this book. Here's this book. Explain. If you say it's not true, here it is. Let's deal with the facts. You want dalil. There's too much dalil. Here, look. Explain it. And you know what the bottom line of all that is? All of our scholars were misguided until these people came along. All Muslims were grave worshippers, idol worshippers, perverters of the attributes of Allah, people of innovation, bid'ah, everybody, all the great scholars, until these people came. What kind of deen we got if that's true? If that's true, what kind of religion do we have? I don't know if some of us forget, we came from a life, a culture that told us Santa Claus is coming down your chimney. Your chimney. And I grew up in the projects. We didn't even have a chimney or a fireplace. How is Santa Claus? And somebody actually tell us Santa Claus is coming. You better be good or you're not going to get no toys. We don't have a chimney. And I've never seen reindeers flying across the sky. Never. But they told us that. And that's the equivalent to tell us that all our scholars were deviant and misguided in the history of Islam, except these handful of people who are not even a tenth of those scholars you calling deviant and misguided. We got to be realistic, man, seriously. And it ain't an argument. It's not something that we're going to have to debate about. This is just facts. This is just facts. And we have to be people of truth. Because the bottom line, when we finish all this discussion, either Islam is the true religion or it's not. That's the bottom line. And if Islam is the true religion, then the way we got it has to be correct. It has to be. And from the side of our iman, we have to be certain about that. We can't be like this. From faith base, from the side of al-iman, it has to be a tasdeeq al-jazm, firm, unshakable conviction. You can't do that in ignorance. You won't even have that kind of faith. And the majority of our scholars, they said at-taqleed in iman la yajuz is not permissible. The majority of our scholars. Except, and those who agreed, the exception was, look how your faith has to be. So at-taqleed, what they call blind following. And we're saying follow it. You can't follow another one in iman without you having that conviction yourself. And that's the general rule. And the ones who accepted it, that said, okay, you can have taqleed in iman, in faith. What did they say? They said the iman of the mukallid is valid only if the person he followed went astray, he would remain steadfast. His conviction, he following this person, but his faith is to the extent he learned, his faith is to, if the person he followed changed, he would remain the same. Then it's acceptable. But in general, they say you cannot blind follow someone else in belief. You have to know it your own self. From your own heart, your own intellect, you have to believe it. So y'all follow me? Let me answer the question. There's a question from Facebook. Hey, Taslim, assalamu alaikum. Where you been hiding at? I didn't see you in a long time. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah are those who consider themselves as the only true followers of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Sunnah. This is in general, yes. That's not specific. That doesn't mean no one else follows the Sunnah. In general, the methodology of Ahl Sunnah is the only way to follow the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's in general. Now, in every specific little case, there are people who follow the Sunnah who are not Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. The Wahhabis follow the Sunnah in some things, but they're not Ahl Sunnah. But they follow the Sunnah. They follow the Prophet correctly in some issues, but they are not Ahl Sunnah. So in general, yes. Specifically, no. Tayyib, are we good? Sister Nejma, that's going to be your struggle. Your struggle. That's a struggle. Because in this area is a big problem. In Atlantic City area, this area, Wahhabism all over the place. And unfortunately, it's real bad. You know what really frustrates me in Atlantic City? Because Masjid Muhammad is the only Ahl Sunnah, Ashari, Maturidi, follow the four schools, Sufi in the whole area. So it looks like Imam Amin is running a cult. It's sad. It's a catastrophe, right? Because of that, and all of the other masajid, Wahhabism flows, it looks like I'm running a cult. Ain't that deep? Can you imagine being in that situation? All of the masajid are affected by Wahhabism except Masjid Muhammad. That hurts. You follow my point? That hurts. Trust me, it bothers me. It bothers me, but it's reality. I got to keep teaching till people learn. People know, they just remain silent. That's the problem. It's not like people in our city don't know. Some of them know, but they don't have the courage to stand up. That's the problem. They know, but they don't have the courage to stand up. I'll give you an example. This is Atlantic City local stuff, but I'm just trying to help. It hurts, seriously. It do. I'm from Atlantic City. I'm born and raised here, right? Privately, every single one of those guys who oppose me, and it's personal, is that they ain't even on the level of Ahl Sunnah. It's personal, right? And I say personal, just I don't want to follow that. You know us. You know us. I don't need to be so explicit, right? We don't want to follow. We got ego problems. Seriously, right? I don't want to follow him. All right, don't follow me. Follow Ahl Sunnah, right? Privately, every one of them will say he's right. Okay, if you're right and you realize that, and I meet with them privately, why you don't stand up for the truth, bro? I'm talking about the imams. I'm talking about the imams. Come on, bro. What's up? You know your state. Why are you still fronting? Or what you call it? Frauding. What you call it? Like, you know better. Come on, man. You know better. Even if you don't know, just say I don't know and be honest, and you need to learn. Come on, man. Stop. You know better. But I can be the man. I'm the man. I get some benefits. I don't know what the hell the benefits are. We all poor, but maybe just our egos. I guess that's it. Come on, bro. Knock it off. And we could just sit down and have a conversation. We don't got to argue. We don't got to fight because we're friends. We all come from the same area. We all come from the hood. How you letting some people from Saudi Arabia divide us? We all come from, everybody in our area know each other. You know me. You can pick up the phone and call me any day. Why are you acting like we enemies? Knock it off. You can pick up the phone. You can walk right in and walk right up on me. Come on, man. Stop. Stop it. Just be honest with each other. You can walk. You can reach me. It's not like hard. You don't got to go through nothing, and you know how I'm going to treat you. You know that. You know it. Like, Don't act like you can't come reach me. We don't talk. You don't, come on, stop faking. I'm just being honest. And they know it. It ain't about truth and falsehood. It's some ego stuff going on. It ain't even about knowledge. It's just egos. Egos running wild. And we have to fix that. That's another problem. You know, this is our stuff. We got to work that out. All right, this is a long, drawn out rant, right? I'm not running from nothing. I don't run from people. I just don't, period. I've been through hard stuff. I can't do it. I'm not running from nobody. That's just not happening. Even if my life has to go, I'm not running from nobody. That ain't happening, period. I experienced too much. And some of them know me. I've been in hard situations where your life is on the line. I'm not doing it. Forget about it. Because I'm about the truth. And I'm willing to die for the truth. And if I'm wrong, I'm willing to say I'm wrong. I don't have a problem with that. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. You'll never get me to defend what is wrong. All you got to do is show me. But I'm going to go back and forth with you. But if you show me I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you I'm wrong. And it won't even be a hesitation. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. Publicly, in front of everybody, I'm not going to. No way. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play with the religion. I'm not going to do that. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. So I know I can be wrong. I can be ignorant. Some things I don't know. But some things I'm sure of, 100%. And I'm sure al-Islam al-haq wa ma siwahu batil. Islam is the truth and everything other than that is false. I'm 100% certain about that. And I'm not running. I don't hide. It's not about me. It's not about me. I'm thinking about us. I would like to see what I said about Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz when he got all those things from Al-Azhar. He got those scholarships and we didn't follow through. I look at that result and that stuff pains me because we wouldn't be Wahhabi if we would have followed through with that legacy from Malcolm X. We wouldn't be having this Wahhabi problem now. Not in our communities, maybe other, but we would have been, if we would have said Malcolm, and someone did it. I'll give you an example. There is an Imam in New York. I'm going, so I'm going in. There is an Imam in New York. His name is Imam Talib Abdul Rashid. He's an elder. Imam Talib might be over 70 now. I think he is. I know he is, right? The Islamic Brotherhood. Come on, what's the name of Imam Talib's community? IBM, MBI, what is it? I'm getting old. I'm young and old, stressed out. MIB, Muslim Islamic Brotherhood, is in Harlem. On history, and he's a historian. May Allah make him well and give him health, right? Let's just keep it real. 100, as they say. Keep it bean. Malcolm X, and he's better historian than me, and this is from me talking to him, right? Malcolm X, when he came from Egypt, Al-Azhar gave him some scholarships, right? And I know some of the people, and I know elders. This is a factual talk, right? So history, check it out. Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, he got some scholarships from Azhar. Imam Tawfiq, Abdullah Tawfiq, right, who was the Imam of MIB, right? He got one of those scholarships. So we're going back to the 60s into the early 70s, right? He went to Al-Azhar. Think about this. Now, you must follow. Al-Azhar has a standard curriculum for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. Listen to me. I know the Azhari curriculum like the back of my hand. I know the Azhari curriculum like the back of my hand. I have it. I know it well. I'm not saying I know the information. I know what the curriculum is. I know what they teach. I know how they teach it. I know the structure very well, right? I'm not saying I got the knowledge, so I'm not ego tripping here. I know what they do. I know the curriculum. I know what books they teach. I know their scholars. I know their history. I know it well, right? So I know what a student, an Azhari student, a real Azhari student, I know what he should look like. My sheikhs are Azhari, most of them. So I know what a real Azhari student looks like and an Azhari scholar looks like, right? I have no doubt about that. I'm not confusing that issue. And I can prove it. I can show it to you, right? Follow me. So Imam Tawfiq, African-American, in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, right? He went to Azhar. He studied. Now remember, we got to keep honest. Most of us, even today, when we go overseas, we are beginners. It's a whole new world. We don't even realize what we have in front of us. We're new. We're beginners. We don't know, right? We don't know. So Imam Tawfiq, to be honest, going to Azhar, he's learning, but he doesn't really realize as a young African-American man the magnitude of what he has. He just knows it's a prestigious university. But to actually know, boom, boom, this is what I need. This is, and we come in from the struggles, black struggle. There's a lot going on in our minds. So we may not catch everything. That's just natural, right? So he goes, he comes back. I don't know if he finished. I don't think he finished. Some stuff happened and he didn't finish, right? Even if he did finish, Allahu A'lam, right? But where was the continuation after him? Azhari student. Because now you're a part of, that's you alumni of Al-Azhar. And that's a whole meaning in and of itself, right? That's a whole meaning, and to be alumni of Azhar and to really carry Manhaj al-Azhar, that way and methodology of Azhar, that's a whole nother meaning, right? Imagine if from that time, so that's the early 70s, 71, 72, something like that, right? 73, 74. Imagine if that would have been a continuous, that's one at one time. Now he comes back, he produces 2 or 3, they go, they come back. Imagine, because it really happened, imagine where we would be instead of where we at today if we would have preserved that. Where we at in knowledge alone, I'm talking about, just knowledge. If that would have been generational. From Malcolm X to today. And we had an example of it. I mentioned one. That means from just in New York alone, I'm in Jersey. In New York alone, you would have had, now let's give 20 years, right? To produce a knowledgeable person, 20 years. He's nice, 20 years. 65, 85. It's 20 years. That's 1. Let's say we're working, we get 2 or 3, right? We're talking about just New York. Malcolm was in New York. Allama Tawfiq was in New York, right? It's Azhari people I'm talking about. So you got 1. The next one should produce 2. So by 1985, we got 2 Azhari scholars or graduates and learned people in New York. Those 2 produce, let's say 3. 85, 2005. Azhari, African American, graduates, learned people, 2005. 2005, 2021. We should produce those 3, now produce 6. We should have 6, at minimum 6, Azhari graduates, knowledgeable scholars with 2 to 3 generations of scholars before them, graduates that they learn from. And with the Azhari curriculum, the Azhari structure, the fraternity of Azhar, what will we be like? That's just in New York. We ain't talking about nowhere else. We're talking about just in New York. Now, of course, when we got these scholars, people are going to come from other parts of the country. And even if they don't go over Sul, they're going to be sitting with them and learning. Right? And they're going to be teaching. So let's prove that. That's MIB. I'm talking about New York alone. That's MIB. Simultaneously, while that was going on in New York, you had an Azhari teacher, Sheikh Suleiman Dunya, I think his name was. Come on, someone help me out. What was Sheikh Suleiman Dunya? Azhari, Egyptian. He was in down there in New York in the 70s. Come on, I know you guys is listening. Come on, help me out. That's his name. I think his name is Sheikh Suleiman Dunya or something like that. I forget his name. But he's well known in New York. He was in the Islamic Center in New York. And among them who's still alive, there were brothers who were learning. Among them who's still alive is Sheikh Amin Al-Awwal Al-Akhir. He's at the Islamic Center in New York on 96th Street. And he was among the students of Sheikh Suleiman Dunya. I know him personally. I know him. And he was following that Azhari teaching. So you got MIB Azhari, and you got his students. And I know people today, and I know his students. I know him. And he's teaching Maliki fiqh. He's teaching Mukhtasar al-Khalil. Mukhtasar al-Khalil. He's teaching him Dardir's book, Mukhtasar al-Saghir. He's teaching those books in New York, in Maliki fiqh, right? I went to Imam Talib. He got Shafi'i books in his library. Shafi'i books and Shafi'i fiqh, right? I'm talking about serious learning, no playing games, right? So we got Maliki Azharis, and we would have Shafi'i Azharis, right? In America, in the black community. Right? These are old men now. Imam Talib is old. Sheikh Amin is old. And beneath them, we don't find people like this. Shara Saghir, yeah, Muawiyah. And Muawiyah, you better take this lesson, and you better study hard, and you better come back, drop your default Wahhabism, and get busy. Because you're going to be the history of this discussion 50 years from now. Muawiyah Langley. Yeah, I pointed you out, like it or not. Because our people's future is on your shoulders, young man. Get busy. We put you in a beautiful environment. You're connected with beautiful scholars. Get busy. What I'm telling you, you make it a reality. He's a young brother. How old are you, Muawiyah? 19 or 18? How old are you, Muawiyah? Don't hide now. You shouldn't have jumped out. You should have stayed in the clouds. You jumped out there. I'm bringing you out. You know me. How old are you, Muawiyah? Seriously. 18 or 19? You're 21. You're a handsome 21. I'm getting like the free slave. Uh-oh, watch out. No. I love Muawiyah. That's my heart. And make sure you send me a WhatsApp message as soon as we over. I need you to do me a favor. But he's over there with one of my students, and they around great scholars. Got to put in the work. Get your Arabic together, and you should come home and be my sheikh, right? Don't come home talking about Imam, help me out. La, 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 I'm relying on you now. You know what I'm saying? 21. If he goes and he does 6 years, and Muawiyah is one of the students I'm going to support, and I'm going to ask you to help me support him and let him go all the way as long as he can go. He don't got to worry about money. He don't got to worry about nothing. Let him get it and be the best of the next generation. Put it in, Art. You're around scholars. All of our resources are there for you. Let's get it done. Let's get it done, Art. We're counting on you. All these people that listen, they're counting on people like you. Let's get it done.
But anyway, you're going to have it.
So, I mean, I know I'm going long, but this is important. So just figure, because I want you to be a big sheikh, that's why I'm putting you out there like that. Pressure, they say pressure bursts pipes, but sometimes good pressure make you a strong individual. Someone, everyone know you now, the famous Sheikh Muawiyah, right? Right? So no, think about generations. So just imagine if we did that work. And I would like one day to have these elders and have a, with respect, but we got work to do. Seriously. Because by now, if we do our work, we'll have many more people. And people like me who are not qualified can sit down and let the qualified people do the job. People who are like me are not qualified can sit down and let the qualified people do the job, and we go be their soldiers in the system. We be the soldiers we are, and we assist them and build them up and give them all the tools and support that they need to do the job. This is facts. You can't dispute it. Now look at that history I gave you. He said, this is why I never come on your lives. No, seriously though, we need it. So we need those elders to have this serious conversation as well before they pass, before they die. And what we need to do, right? And we got to have confidence to confront the stuff we're dealing with. We got to have confidence because we could do something. We lost this whole legacy because we didn't do the job for whatever the reason is. Maybe we didn't even know what was the possibility, but we know now. So let's do it. Those who know better, do better. We know. We can't say we don't know. We do know. We know right now where we made our mistakes. Right? We know where we made our mistakes, and we're still learning. Heck, while we at it, let's put us all out there. That's while we at it. Call me up later. I don't care. Look, Imam Zayd Shakir. Imam Zayd Shakir can do miracles with the knowledge he has. He could do miracles with the knowledge he has. Miracles with the knowledge he has with our people. If we let him do what he knows, what you know, Islamically, we get out of his way, move all this default Wahhabism from around him, and let him teach us what he knows, what he learned from his scholars in Syria. Let him just go for it without all that other stuff. Without all the lights and cameras and nonsense and political correctness and all that crap. Just let him teach what he learned from his teachers, what he know, the books, the methodology. Let him give it to us. Watch what happens. Take all that other stuff away. Just teach us religious knowledge as you learned it with an unbroken chain from your teachers. The books, the methodology, in Aqidah, in fiqh, in tasawwuf. Just let us learn that and watch what happens from generation to generation. Without all the politics. Forget the politics. I know it's politics, but let's just leave that to the side for a minute and let's just deal with the knowledge we learned. That's it. I have Syrian teachers. I studied with Syrian teachers. I still study with Syrian teachers. I studied with those teachers who were professors in those schools. So I know the curriculum. I know the methodology. I know the books. So I can't be fooled. I know it. Let's just teach that. How about that? Let's just do that for the sake of our people. Let's just do that. All of us, we can change the future of Islam in America. And if we change the future of Islam in America, we can change the future of Islam in the world. Right from here. But we got to do the job. Now I know somebody like, man, this guy. Yeah, this guy. Because I'm getting old and I got children and I don't want them to do the same thing I'm doing. I got grandchildren. I got a grandchild now. I don't want them to do the same thing we're doing. I don't want to see it. Seriously. So I got one voice. I got a little bit of time. And Allah gave us a platform to do it. And I'm going to say it. Whoever likes it, like it. Whoever don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. Man up. You might not like the way I go about it. All right, you do your part, but do it. You might not like the way I go about it. I got that. Do your part. And maybe when you're more vocal and when you're more putting it together, all of us together, we're really doing the job and we're not skirting around the issue. We actually dealing with it. We really dealing with it. I'll remain silent. I'll shut my mouth and go back in the closet. Right? But we're at a dire situation Islamically. We're at a dire situation. Seriously, it's bad. And it's not criticizing anyone. It's just showing what we got to do and realizing what we have. We have the tools to do it. We do, but we got to do it. We got to do the work. I'm tired of in the back seat, man. I'm tired of being at the back of the bus. I'm tired of black folks at the back of the bus. No. We deserve an equal ride like everyone else in the world. No. We can't do it. I'm tired of seeing black people at the back of the bus and everyone else leading the discourse like we stupid. Everyone else building their communities on our backs while we do nothing. And we have all the tools for success. Look. I can't do it. I can't. Can't do it. Malcolm couldn't do it. Those great leaders that we had, they couldn't do it. And they disagreed and they fought. Yeah, they did that stuff. But nah, man, we got to see our people go forward. We deserve to be at the front of the bus. We deserve to be leading the race. But there are certain things we have to get done to do that. We have to do it. And we all know it. We're watching our children. We got all this stuff and we're losing our children daily. Come on, man. We have all these knowledge, all this information, all these chains of narrations, all this histories exist and it's being hidden from most of us. Come on, man. You know what kind of people we met? Our African-American brothers who studied overseas. You know what kind of scholars we met? You know what the kind of stuff we know? Just the access that we have had, African-Americans, from studying overseas and from traveling. And man, you know what we know? Amazing stuff we know. And I'm talking about us. How do I know that? Because I did it. I know what's out there. I know what's out there. I know what's out there. And some of us understand this, and I'm going to close with this analogy. Because a lot of us, we come from the hood. We come from the inner city. And it's like you got connections. I'm just speaking of to the hookup. You got to connect. You have the direct connect. And you still going to the dude on the block. And you have a connect. You have the direct connect and you still going to the guy on the block. Don't make sense. You could change the whole condition of the whole neighborhood, but you just want to go to Mr. Charlie and you got to connect. You can open up business for everybody, but you don't do it. Come on, bro. You could change our whole condition. Don't make sense. I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you 4 great scholars that I had the opportunity to sit in their presence. Great. And I know about those scholars. 4. I'm just giving you 4. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, "O Allah, bless our Sham and our Yemen." O Allah, bless our Sham. That's the areas of Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, and our Yemen. That's Yemen, right? So the Prophet prayed for those lands. In our time, they've all died except one, right? Except one, he's still alive. From the Yemen, I got to meet one of the big, huge scholars of Yemen. His name was Al-Habib Salim ibn Abdullah al-Shatri, a great scholar. He built and inherited from his father, he didn't build it, but he inherited from his father one of the foremost schools in Hadramaut, Ribat Tarim. Ribat Tarim make cab drivers scholars. Cab drivers, scholars. You go to Tarim, you got a guy driving a cab as a scholar. He went to the Ribat of Tarim. That's where Salim al-Shatri was the director of that. I met him. And I talked to him. Right? I know what he did. Right? If I just try to do here what he did, it would be amazing if we did that. And we got people who actually studied with him. Not just met him, actually sat with him right here in the United States. They sat with him, studied years with him. Americans, right here in the United States. Right? That's one. Another one who's still alive, who graduated from that school, and he's a big scholar in Medina, Al-Habib Zain bin Ibrahim Sumait. It's over 80, probably now. Amazing scholar. He was the sheikh of the school where Habib Umar learned and studied and taught. He was the sheikh. After Habib Umar's father died, Habib Umar was sent to study with one of the great scholars from the Ribat Tarim in a certain place, and Habib Umar was in the same place with Habib Zain bin Ibrahim. Habib Umar, that famous Habib Umar, was with that scholar. Do you know, in America, our people, they taught and they built schools and they built ribats and they did so much. Look at Habib Umar, Darul Mustafa. Look what they did. We are connected to those people. We actually sat in their presence. And there are those who studied and learned with them among us. Not just say I sat with them and I heard and I received. Yes, that's a benefit in and of itself. Because if you're smart, you look at them and you say, wow, look what he's doing. We sat with Habib Zain almost from Maghrib time to 12 o'clock at night, and he was still teaching, and it's 70-something. He was teaching like he was a 20-year-old. That's an encouragement for us. So that tells me if he's between 70 and 80 and teaching like that, and I'm only 40-something at that time, that means I got a long journey to go. I shouldn't stop. I should be teaching like he was. He's still rolling, and he's almost 80 years old. He's teaching like he's 20. So if I'm only 40-something, at that time I was, that means if Allah give me a life, I should spend my life like him. I can learn something. And what about those who got the chance to study and take and memorize and do the books, and they start teaching in our communities? We could do like they did. That's Sham. That's Yemen. Move to Sham. In Damascus, I met two of the top scholars in Damascus of our time. Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Halabi and Sheikh Adib Khalas. These two were the main teachers of Mahad al-Fat in Damascus, which is the famous school. Sheikh Samir teaches there as a graduate, teaches graduate students in Hanafi fiqh. Right? Sheikh Samir, and they are among his teachers, right? He reached it, they called Sheikh Habib Salim al-Shawtari Sultan al-Ulama, the Sultan of the scholars. They called Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Halabi Little Abu Hanifa, the Sheikh of the Umayyad Mosque. Sheikh Adib Khalas was a master in Islamic tenets of faith, a master in Sham. We and many of us met these people. Shouldn't we try to produce the likes in our own people? We met them. We connected to them. We got chains of narration to them. And they're connected. Listen. We met them living physically, touched them, shook their hands, received their dua. Just from those two scholars, you go from Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Halabi, Sheikh Adib Khalas, to Sheikh Muhammad Salih al-Farfur, to Sheikh Badr al-Din al-Hassani. Badr al-Din al-Hassani was the greatest hadith scholar in all of Sham. That's all you're talking about. You only 2 generations from this legacy. They did it. Why can't we? They did it. I just gave you that chain of narration. And if we relate from their students, who we directly relate from, we're talking about 3 people, and they did legacies. Why can't we do the same thing? They did it. The same thing I told you from Malcolm X to Imam Tawfiq to, they did it. Why can't we? They did it in Yemen and Sham, the same chain of narration. They did it. Why can't we? They did it. They did it for generations. Why can't we? We can do it. We just have to push ourselves, be honest with ourselves, and we can have the same legacy in America, in our community. We can do it. Don't let nobody tell us no. Don't let nobody sell us short. Don't let it happen. Say, no, we must do it. Push ourselves. Don't accept. Do you follow what I'm saying? We have this stuff. All we got to do is use our resources and get busy. Stop making excuses. We have generations to save. We're living it. We're now 35, 56 years from Malcolm X. Come on, man. 56 years. That went fast. There's 56 years to come after us. Let's make them in a way better position than we are. We can do it. We're not incapable. Bitawfiqillah. With the success and the creating the ability to obey in Allah, we can do it. We don't need to keep begging people to give us a little bit who don't care about us. We can do it. And we have to. We have to do it. We can't make excuses. It's available. And anyone who keep telling us no, man, don't listen to them. They keep telling us, no, you don't need all that. Man, yes, we do. Religion, our deen, Islam is the thing that's going to free us. This society don't want to see us free. Islam is going to make us free. But we need the Islam of our generation of Islamic people. We need that movement. We got to stop talking about Sheikh Uthman, Dan Fodio, the Shehu, and we got to become the Shehu. We got to stop reminiscing and not doing. We have to become like the Shehu. The Shehu was a scholar. The Shehu's children were scholars. The Shehu's forefathers were scholars, learned people, leaders. They built. We can't keep talking. We got to work. Seriously. We are great people, but we got to work. Jahid to shahid. And my voice is only planting a seed. That's it. And hopefully I live enough to push us and push myself. And maybe someone like Muawiyah will catch that flame and do it. Because I know it's available. I know it's available. Are you going to do it? It's there. You're there. It's all around you. Great memorizers, great scholars, hadith. I can point them to you. I can connect you to them. Are you going to do it? That's the question. Access, you got the connect. I make a phone call, you in. Are you going to do it? That's the question. Or are you going to go play games? Are we going to play games? That's it. Either you're going to do it or you're going to play games. Which one? And we can't afford to play games anymore. Our children deserve better. Our grandchildren deserve better. Our great-great-grandchildren deserve better. And we need to think about them before they get here. We got to change our way of thinking. And Allah knows best. I'm sorry for taking y'all on this long journey, but hey, man, who knows what's going to be my state tomorrow? At least you got the recording. and you can know what I was trying to push you to, right? And it's all about that. It ain't personal. It's all about that. It ain't personal. It's not personal. And when we have that discussion, take the personal stuff out of it, have this real discussion, you'll see what I'm talking about. We'll see what I'm talking about. Don't let nobody sell us cheap. Don't let nobody sell us cheap. Period. And it may be a rough journey. I believe it is. I understand it's hard. Because we are hard sell, boy. We are hard sell. We are a hard sell. But inshallah, we'll be all right. But we got to work. Inshallah, and work. May Allah help us, inshallah. Barakallahu bikum. I'll see you tonight at the Post-Fajr Reflections at 6:30. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.